This is the story of The Wizard of Oz. It is an adventure of excitement and warmth, originally created by L. Frank Baum. This famous story is retold especially for you, from Fisher-Price.
Do you hear that sound? That's the wind that blows across the great Kansas prairies, as far as you can see. The flat prairies are covered with gray grass, and the prairie winds blow and blow until sometimes they start strange summer storms called cyclones, with winds so strong they can carry away a house. That's pretty strong. So prairie farmers have special cyclone cellars where they hide when cyclones come. This is the story of Dorothy, a little girl who lived on a prairie farm with her Aunt Em and Uncle Henry many years ago. Dorothy was a lonely little girl. When she stood in front of her house, all she saw was the great empty prairie. No hills, no trees, no other houses, no other children. Dorothy's only friend was her little black dog, Toto. Dorothy loved Toto very much, and when she was lonely, she would talk to him.
Gosh, Toto, there's nothing fun on a prairie. I wish we could go someplace with lots of friends and lots of excitement.
But Aunt Em and Uncle Henry were poor and had no money for trips, and it seemed that Dorothy's wish would never come true. Then one hot summer day, Dorothy was standing in the kitchen door, holding Toto close. Inside, Aunt Em washed the breakfast dishes. Uncle Henry sat on the steps, looking across the prairie, where an ugly gray cloud raced across the ground.
What's wrong, Uncle Henry?
See that ugly cloud out there, Dorothy? That's a cyclone, and I'm afraid it's coming right at the house.
Gosh, a cyclone, Toto. Hey, Aunt Em, there's a cyclone coming.
Where? Oh, dear, that's a bad cyclone, Henry.
We better get into the cyclone cellar. Hold on to Toto, Dorothy. He's scared.
But suddenly, Toto jumps out of Dorothy's arms. Dorothy runs after him.
Toto, come back!
Dorothy, let Toto go. Get into the cyclone cellar.
I can't leave Toto. Toto, where are you?
Dorothy, come back. You'll be hurt.
Toto, where are you? Toto! Toto! Toto, there you are. Come on.
Dorothy picks up Toto and runs back into the house, but she's too late. The door to the cyclone cellar is shut tight.
Aunt Em, Uncle Henry, let me in.
But Dorothy's calls are carried away by the wind, and suddenly the cyclone hits the house, throwing Dorothy and Toto to the floor. Now, something strange is happening. The cyclone is lifting the house into the air.
Oh, Toto, we're going up. I'm scared.
Toto is scared, too. He runs to the open trapdoor and barks at the dark, swirling clouds below.
Look out, Toto. You'll fall through.
The house lurches, and Toto does fall through.
Toto!
Dorothy reaches down just in time, catches Toto by the ear, and pulls him to safety.
Oh, Toto, I thought I'd lost you. Toto, dear Toto.
Dorothy carried Toto over to her bed
Dear Toto.
and lay down.
Shh, dear Toto.
She was tired. Outside, the wind blew and blew, and the house sailed on through the storm, rocking back and forth, and back and forth. And Dorothy yawned back and forth, and Toto yawned back and forth, and together they fell asleep. Dorothy and Toto were still fast asleep when the house landed with a bump, and Dorothy woke up.
Gosh, Toto, wake up. We're on the ground again. I wonder where we are. Let's look outside. It's beautiful!
The house had landed on a soft green lawn, surrounded by shady trees, filled with oranges, pears, apples, lemons, and peaches.
Oh, Toto, it's so pretty. Not like Kansas at all.
Just then, 4 of the strangest-looking people Dorothy had ever seen stepped from behind the trees. 3 were little men with pointed hats, dressed all in blue. The 4th was a kind-looking little lady, dressed in white. The little men bowed, and the lady spoke.
Welcome to the land of the Munchkins. We thank you for killing the Wicked Witch of the East and setting the Munchkins free.
Kill? I didn't kill anyone. I'm Dorothy, and this is my dog Toto.
Well, it was your house that fell on the Wicked Witch. See, there are her feet.
Dorothy looked. Sure enough, there at the corner of her house were 2 feet covered with silvered shoes.
Gosh, I didn't mean to hurt anyone.
Oh, don't worry, Dorothy. She was wicked. She used her magic silver shoes to enslave my Munchkin friends. But now she's dead, and the silver shoes are yours. They have great magic in them.
Dorothy thought this little lady was very kind and wondered who she was.
Ma'am, are you a Munchkin too?
Oh, no, I'm a witch.
But I thought all witches were mean.
Oh, no, I'm the witch of the north. I'm a good witch. So is the witch of the south. Only the witch of the west is wicked. The witch of the east was wicked too, but now she's dead.
Dorothy thought all this talk about witches was very strange. She had had enough excitement. Now she wanted to go home.
Ma'am, I want to go back to Aunt Em and Uncle Henry.
Where do they live?
Right here in Kansas.
Kansas? This isn't Kansas. You're in the land of Oz.
The land of Oz? You mean you can't tell me how to get home?
No, you'll have to ask the Wizard of Oz. He's very powerful and very clever. He'll know how to get to Kansas. You'll find the wizard in the Emerald City.
Where is the Emerald City?
Just follow the yellow brick road. The Munchkins will show you where it begins. It will take you to the Emerald City through a country that's sometimes friendly and sometimes dark and terrible.
Gosh, it sounds kind of scary. Maybe you could come with me.
Oh, no, Dorothy, I can't do that. But I will give you my kiss. Nothing will dare harm one whom I've kissed.
The good witch gently kissed Dorothy on the forehead.
There, now you are safe. And remember, wear the silver shoes. Their magic is powerful, too. Now I must go. Goodbye, dear Dorothy, and have a good journey to the Emerald City.
So saying, the good witch whirled on her heel and vanished in a shower of light.
Gosh, Toto, I never saw anybody disappear that fast.
Dorothy put on the silver shoes, which sparkled in the sun, and then the Munchkins took Dorothy and Toto to the yellow brick road, which stretched eastward like a gold ribbon through the land of the Munchkins. The Munchkins waved goodbye, Dorothy waved back, and set off in her magic silver shoes to find the wonderful Wizard of Oz. By and by, Dorothy passed a cornfield with a scarecrow in it. Dorothy was tired, so she sat down on the fence and gazed at the scarecrow. And as she gazed, she saw an amazing thing.
Toto, that scarecrow winked at me. Look, now he's nodding his head.
Suddenly, the scarecrow began to speak.
Good morning, miss.
You can talk.
Of course I can. How are you today?
Fine. How are you?
Well, not so good. I don't like being stuck up on this here pole. Say, you wouldn't mind taking me down, would you? You can lift me easy 'cause I'm stuffed with straw.
Sure. I'll just pick you up and put you down here.
Oh.
There.
Oh, boy, that sure feels good to be off that pole, miss. Say, what is your name?
I'm Dorothy. I'm going to the Emerald City to ask the Wizard of Oz to send me back to Kansas.
Emerald City?
Gosh, don't you know about the wizard?
No, I reckon I don't know anything. You see, my head's stuffed with straw. I don't have any brains. Wish I did, though.
Why don't you come with me, Scarecrow, to the Emerald City? You could ask the wizard for some brains. I'm sure he'll give you some. Besides, I'd like to be your friend.
Say, that's a good idea. Dorothy, I'll be your friend for sure. And maybe get some brains, too. Let's go.
So Dorothy and Toto and the Scarecrow walked down the yellow brick road and on to the wonderful Wizard of Oz. After a while, they left the neat Munchkin farmland and entered a small forest of oak trees. It was a pretty forest with sunlight falling among the tall trees and birds singing in the high branches. Here and there were neat piles of firewood cut by some woodman. Dorothy was enjoying this shady forest when all of a sudden the Scarecrow stopped and pointed.
Look, Dorothy, there's something shining over there behind that big tree.
The Scarecrow walked over to a large oak. Dorothy and Toto followed. Suddenly the Scarecrow stopped.
Well, I'll be doggone. Looky here.
There, standing stiff in the middle of the woods, was a man made of tin. On the ground nearby was a rusty axe and a can of oil.
Scarecrow? Who is he?
Hey, listen. He's trying to talk.
Oil! Oil!
He wants oil.
He must be so rusty he can't move.
Here's his oil can. I'll put some on his jaw so he can talk. There. Look. He's moving his jaw.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that feels good. Would you mind putting a little oil on my shoulders? Oh, that's great. And the elbows? Oh, wonderful. And the knees? Oh, the knees. Oh, it's been a year since I moved my knees.
A year?
Oh, yes. I got caught in a rainstorm and rusted right up. I couldn't budge.
Now, wait a minute. Who are you?
I'm a woodman. I chopped those piles of firewood you saw.
A tin woodman?
The Wicked Witch started a big thunderstorm right on top of me. I got so wet and rusty, I couldn't move. That was a year ago. If you hadn't found me, I'd have been there another 10 years maybe.
But you seem okay now, Tin Woodman.
Yes, except for one thing.
What's that?
I don't have a heart. This tin chest of mine is empty. Listen. Hear that? Empty. No heart. Nothing.
As the Tin Woodman told his sad story, tears ran down Tin cheeks, and Dorothy had to wipe them away so his jaw wouldn't rust again.
Poor Tin Woodman. Look, why don't you come with us? We're going to see the Wizard of Oz. He's going to show me the way back to Kansas.
And give me some brains.
Maybe I could ask for a heart.
Sure you can.
Then let's go. Come on, Toto. Let's go.
So Dorothy and her friends walked down the yellow brick road and on to the wonderful Wizard of Oz. As they walked, the forest grew thicker and the shadows darkened.
Gosh, fellas, I don't like this place. It's scary.
Then, somewhere deep in the forest, they heard a low growl.
What was that?
Sounded like an animal.
Yes, a big animal.
Oh!
The growl came from the forest shadows. Suddenly, something moved among the trees.
What's that?
Out of the woods stepped an enormous lion with long, shaggy hair, long, sharp claws, and big teeth.
Oh,
The
watch
lion
out!
walked up to the Scarecrow, raised his huge paw, and knocked the straw Scarecrow to the ground.
Hey, that wasn't a very nice thing to do.
Then the big lion turned towards little Toto.
No, leave Toto alone!
Dorothy picked Toto up and stood angrily facing the lion.
You big bully, take that!
And Dorothy slapped the lion right on the end of his nose.
How dare you frighten little Toto? You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
The lion put his paw to his nose and began to cry.
I didn't mean to do anything wrong.
You scared Toto, you big coward.
I know I'm a coward. I suppose it's only a big coward like me would scare a little dog.
Well, I'll forgive you, but don't do it again.
Tell me, friend lion, how come you're such a scaredy cat?
You know, I wish I knew. I'm afraid of everything. All the little animals here in the forest think I'm brave because of my loud roar. But if I ever met a really big animal, I'd have to run away. It's so embarrassing to be a coward.
Dear me, that's not right. A lion should be brave.
I know. If I only had some courage. Even a little bit.
I know, Lion. Why don't you come with us to see the Wizard of Oz? He's going to show me the way back to Kansas.
And give me some brains.
And me a heart.
You know, maybe I could ask for some courage.
Sure you can.
Then let's go. Come on, Toto. Let's go.
So Dorothy and her friends walked down the yellow brick road and on to the wonderful Wizard of Oz. But as Dorothy and her friends walked on, the trees grew closer and closer together until they blotted out the sun. Thick vines with long thorns hung from the branches. The forest grew darker and darker, and strange noises came from the shadows.
Do you hear that terrifying noise? That's the Kalidas.
What are the Kalidas, Lion?
Oh, they're two terrible monsters with heads of tigers and the bodies of bears.
Bodies of bears?
I'm scared. Let's get out of here.
They tiptoe through the forest, fearing the Kalidas will attack any moment. Finally, they see sunlight ahead.
Looky there. We're almost out of the forest.
But when they get to the edge of the woods, they find their path blocked by an enormous ditch, so deep they cannot see its bottom, and so wide it can only be crossed by a fallen tree that lies across the ditch. The Kalidas are near, so the Tin Woodman starts across the tree, then Dorothy and Toto, then the Scarecrow. Last comes the Cowardly Lion. They must walk carefully. One slip, and they will fall into the bottomless ditch.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Suddenly, they look back. There are the Kalidas coming from the trees. The Kalidas see Dorothy and her friends crossing the tree.
They're coming after us. Help!
Now both Kalidas are also on the tree. The lion looks back at the two monsters.
Oh, I wish I had some courage. Somehow, I've got to stop the Kalidas.
The lion turns, faces the two monsters, and lets out a loud roar. The Kalidas are surprised. They stop. The lion hurries to the other side of the ditch where Dorothy and the others are waiting.
Well, I guess I showed those Kalidas a thing or two.
Yes, you did. But look, they're coming back.
Yes, the Kalidas are coming across the trees straight for Dorothy.
What are we going to do?
The Scarecrow thinks quickly. He's got an idea. Chop the tree in two, he tells the Tin Woodman, and the Kalidas will fall into the ditch. The Tin Woodman swings his axe. The Kalidas move quickly across the tree. The Tin Woodman chops faster. The Kalidas come nearer and nearer and are about to pounce when the Tin Woodman's strong axe cuts the tree in two. The tree falls down and the Kalidas plunge after it into the bottomless ditch.
They're gone. We're saved. And Lion, you were so brave.
Oh, no. I was scared. Look, my paws are still shaking. We should thank the Scarecrow. He thought of cutting the tree in two.
Oh, Lion, you know I can't think. I don't have a brain. It was really old Tin Woodman here who saved us. He cut the tree.
Now, Scarecrow, you're being too nice.
Well, you know what I think?
What?
I think that you all are the best friends anybody ever had.
No.
Well, so are you, Dorothy. Right, guys?
Right.
And so, safe from the Kalidas at last, Dorothy and her friends resumed their journey. Now they were out in the sun again. Ahead, the yellow brick road entered a large field of bright red poppies, and somewhere beyond was the Emerald City and the wonderful Wizard of Oz. In a while, Dorothy and her friends entered the great poppy field. Now these poppies were very large, very red, and Dorothy thought they smelled like leftover spinach. The deeper they got into the poppy field, the stronger this smell got, and the brighter the red poppies became.
Gosh, there sure are a lot of pretty flowers here. But they smell kind of funny, don't they?
They certainly do. I've never seen so many poppies. I'm sleepy. I think I'll take a little cat nap.
I'm sleepy too. Oh, look, Toto's asleep. I guess I'll take a nap too.
Dorothy curled up under a poppy and went sound to sleep. Toto snoozed at her side, and nearby the lion snored away.
Look, Scarecrow, they're asleep. What happened?
I reckon it's the smell of the poppies that's put them to sleep. You and me, you see, being made of tin and straw, the poppies don't bother us.
The Scarecrow was right. These were dangerous poppies with a strange odor that sent passers-by into a deep sleep. Unless quickly carried out of the poppy field, Dorothy, Toto, and the lion would never wake up.
Oh, dear, Scarecrow. We've got to carry them out of here. Come on, let's take Dorothy and Toto first.
The Tin Woodman and the Scarecrow gently carried Dorothy and Toto out of the poppy field. But when they went back to get the big snoring lion, they found he was too heavy to lift.
You lift his tail, Tin Woodman. I'll lift his head.
I can't. His tail's too heavy.
Okay, I'll take his tail and you take his head.
I can't lift his head either. Let's try waking him up. Come on, friend lion. Wake up.
No, Tin Woodman, you gotta say it louder than that. Okay, lion, wake up.
Why don't you say it louder?
I said, lion, wake up.
Maybe a bit louder.
Lion, I'm shouting as loud as I can, and I want you to wake up.
A little louder next time.
Louder? How can I shout louder?
You're shouting at me.
What?
I said you're shouting at me.
What do you mean you're shouting at me?
Oh, look, this is hopeless. We can't wake up friend lion. We're going to have to drag him out. Come on, let's both grab his tail now. Pull, 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 pull.
Together, the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman dragged the big snoring lion out of the poppy field by his tail. The lion never woke up until he was well away from the poppies.
I must have dozed off.
Dozed off? You were sound asleep.
We had to drag you out by your tail.
By my tail? Oh, you're just joking, aren't you? You're not joking. Oh, good grief! How embarrassing! Dragged by my tail. What will the other animals say?
Don't worry, Lion. We won't tell anyone. Come on, let's go.
Once again, Dorothy and her friends walked down the yellow brick road, away from the poppy field and on to the Emerald City. As they walked, they noticed that things were turning green, and they knew they were now very near the Emerald City. Fences were green, barns were green, people's clothes were green. Even the chickens roosted in green hen houses. It was getting dark. They passed a tidy green farmhouse, and Dorothy was tired after her many adventures.
Hey, fellas, let's see if we can spend the night here.
They opened the green gate, walked up to the green door, and knocked. A farmer dressed in green answered the door.
Hi, Mr. Farmer. We're on our way to see the Wizard of Oz. Can we spend the night with you?
The farmer was delighted to have them spend the night. His wife fed them supper of porridge, scrambled eggs, and toast. And while they ate, the farmer told them of the awesome power of the Wizard of Oz. After supper, Dorothy was very sleepy, so she crept into bed between fresh green sheets. The Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman stood watch by her door.
sure feels good to lie down. Scarecrow?
Yep,
I'm awful glad you came with me.
so am I. Now you get some sleep. Tomorrow we see the wizard.
Do you think the wizard can get me back to Kansas?
We'll see. Go to sleep now.
Okay. Tim Woodman,
Yes, little Dorothy.
you're a good friend too.
So are you.
Good night, Tim Woodman.
Good night, little Dorothy.
Night, Scarecrow.
Good night, little Dorothy. Good night.
The next morning, Dorothy and her friends said goodbye to the farmer and his wife and headed down the yellow brick road. Dorothy's silver shoes sparkled as she walked, and at last they saw the great Emerald City, all glowing and green in the sky.
Look, the Emerald City.
Soon they were at the city's big gates. The gates were shut tight, but next to them was a silver bell, which Dorothy rang. The gate slowly opened, and out stepped a little man dressed all in green. He wore green spectacles and carried a large key.
I am the guardian of the gates. What do you wish in the Emerald City?
We want to see the wizard.
The wizard? Nobody's seen the wizard in years. He's too powerful and terrible to be seen.
Oh, but we must see him. You see, I want the wizard to send me back to Kansas.
And I want him to give me some brains.
And me a heart.
And me courage.
But the wizard might destroy you all. He can be frightening, very frightening.
I thought he was a good wizard.
So he is. He rules wisely and well.
Then I'm sure he'll see us. We're very polite.
Well, if you insist on trouble, you may see ours. But first you must put on the spectacles.
The guardian of the gates opened a large green box filled with spectacles. All had green lenses.
Everyone in the Emerald City wears the spectacles. Without them, the brightness and glory of the city would blind you. Each of you must wear them also.
The guardian of the gates put a pair of spectacles on Dorothy, on each of her friends, and even on little Toto.
Very good. Now you may enter the great Emerald City. Welcome to the Emerald City, the most dazzling city in the land of Oz.
The streets were lined with beautiful houses of green marble, covered with sparkling emeralds. The sidewalk was also made of large green marble slabs, joined with row upon row of more emeralds. There were many people, and all were dressed in green and had skins tinged with green. Even things in the shop windows were green. Green candy, green popcorn, and green lemonade.
Gosh, everything is green. Even my silver shoes look green now.
Of course, that's what the wizard wants.
Just then they came to the great wizard's palace. As if by magic, the doors opened, and they entered an enormous room with green marble floors and a high curved ceiling. At the end of the room was another door, entirely covered with flashing emeralds.
Behind that door is the mighty wizard. When he wishes to see you, that door will open. Now goodbye.
How long must we wait?
I haven't the faintest idea. I've never seen the wizard.
But wait.
Goodbye.
Can't you tell us something?
So sorry, I can't. Goodbye.
Wait, please don't leave us here. Wait!
He's gone. It's no use, Dorothy. We'll have to sit down and be brave. Brave? Oh, good grief, I'm scared stiff.
Dorothy and her friends sat down and waited. And they waited. And they waited. And suddenly, a loud voice boomed out of nowhere. You may see the mighty Wizard of Oz. Go now. Trembling with fear, Dorothy and her friends walked through the emerald-covered door. Dorothy's silver shoes clicked on the green marble as they entered an enormous room. In the center was a throne, and on the throne was the large head of a man, which rolled its eyes and spoke. I am Oz, the great and terrible. Who are you?
I'm just Dorothy, and I am very small.
Where did you get those silver shoes? Speak!
I got them when my house fell on the Wicked Witch of the East.
The Witch of the East?
It was an accident, really.
Silence! I'll tell you when to speak. What do you want?
Oh, great wizard, I want to go home to Kansas, please.
And I want a brain.
And I want a heart.
And I want some courage, sir. Please?
Silence! Why should I grant your wishes?
Because you are a great and mighty wizard, and we are weak and helpless.
Silence! Now, hear my answer. I will not grant your wishes unless you do something for me first.
Yes, sir?
Do this. Go to the land of the Winkies. There you will find the last wicked witch left in this land. Destroy the Wicked Witch of the West. Only then will I help you. Now, go.
Yes, sir.
Sadly, Dorothy and her friends left.
Now, Dorothy, don't you worry. We'll think of something. Right, fellas?
Sure, and we'll stick with you no matter what.
And protect you, too. Good grief. I don't dare tell her how scared I am.
So Dorothy and her friends left the Emerald City to find the Wicked Witch of the West. At the city's walls, they asked the guardian of the gates the way.
There is no road, and no one ever wishes to go near the witch.
Then how can we find her?
That will be easy. When the witch knows you're in the land of the Winkies, she'll find you and make you her slaves.
Oh, good grief.
Take care. She is cruel and powerful. Keep to the west, where the sun sets, and you can't fail to find her.
The land of the Winkies, where the Wicked Witch lived, was a dry, stony land where few trees grew. Long ago, the witch had captured all the Winkies and made them her slaves. Now she lived in a stone castle high on a stone mountain. It never rained there, yet the witch always carried an umbrella, and no one knew why. The witch had only one eye, but it was so powerful she could see things miles away. Today she sat in her door, leaned on her umbrella, and watched the dusty road below, just as Dorothy and her friends entered the land of the Winkies, far away.
Aha! What's that my eye sees? A scarecrow, a lion, a tin woodman, a little dog, and a little girl wearing silver shoes. The magic silver shoes. So she must be Dorothy. Well, I'll fix her.
The cruel and powerful witch had a magical golden cap, which she wore when she attacked her enemies. Now she puts on the golden cap.
Ah, now, Miss Dorothy, I've got some surprises for you. Ah, and the silver shoes will be mine. Ah!
Meanwhile, not knowing the terrible witch has seen them, Dorothy and her friends enter the land of the Winkies. The hot sun beats down. Ahead is a strange grove of twisted trees.
Boy, is my straw hot. I think I'll cool off one of those nice shady trees ahead.
The Scarecrow doesn't know that the Wicked Witch has put an evil spell on those trees.
Wait, friend Scarecrow. There's something strange about those trees.
But the Scarecrow doesn't listen, and suddenly one tree is alive, its hideous branches reaching down.
Look out!
Coiling around the Scarecrow, crushing him.
Help, Tin Woodman. Help me.
I'm coming, friend.
Use your axe.
Right.
The Tin Woodman chops at the twisting branches, and soon the Scarecrow is free.
Oh, Tin Woodman, you saved my life. I'll bet the Wicked Witch put a spell on those trees.
Oh, good grief. What next?
Gosh, the witch might attack us again.
We'd better be careful.
Dorothy and her friends walk on, but the Wicked Witch, seeing they have escaped from the deadly trees, is furious. She puts on the magic golden cap. This time she summons the Hammerheads, vicious creatures with no arms, long rubbery necks, and thick flat heads that shoot out and pound their victims flat.
Hammerheads, go! Then bring back the silver shoe.
The Hammerheads obey. Hiding behind large rocks near the path, they crouch and wait. Meanwhile, Dorothy and her friends walk on towards the witch's castle, towards the great stone mountain, towards the rocks where the deadly Hammerheads are waiting.
Gosh, fellas, look at those rocks. They're huge.
The Tin Woodman and the Scarecrow walk toward the rocks, but the lion is suspicious. He sniffs the air.
Smells bad. There's something behind those rocks.
Oh, Lion, you're just scared. Come on.
The Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman walk nearer the rocks and nearer. Suddenly, up shoots an ugly flat head. Another head pops up, then another.
Oh, good grief! Look out, everyone!
But it's too late. The Hammerheads attack. First, they strike the Scarecrow. Oof! Then pound the Tin Woodman. Next, they'll attack Dorothy, but the lion protects her.
Stay behind me, Dorothy. Oh, I knew there would be trouble. I just knew there would.
Now the Hammerheads surround Dorothy and the lion.
Oh, lion, help!
The lion crouches. One Hammerhead comes in close and strikes, but the lion seizes its long neck in his jaws and flings the Hammerhead back. Another Hammerhead strikes, and another, but the lion bravely flings them all back and then lets out a fearsome roar. And the Hammerheads flee in terror.
Oh, lion, you saved us. You're so brave.
And strong.
And loud.
No, it was really nothing. If they only knew how scared I was.
Dorothy and her friends walk on towards the stone mountain, but the Wicked Witch is furious. She puts on the magic golden cap and summons the dreaded winged monkeys, the frightful creatures that fly in great flocks and pounce on their victims from the sky.
Winged monkeys, come!
They come by the hundreds, darkening the sky and gathering around the evil witch.
Winged monkeys, go! Seize Dorothy and her friends and bring them to me. Careful with the girl, she wears the magic silver shoes. But do what you wish with the others. Now go and don't fail me.
The dreaded monkeys rise into the dark air and fly towards Dorothy and her friends. They strike so quickly there's no time to escape. They seize the Scarecrow and rip out his straw.
Help, my straw!
Then they drag the Tin Woodman into the sky and drop him onto the rocks below. Then they tie up the lion.
Don't let me alone, you disgusting creatures.
Finally, the winged monkeys seize Dorothy, Toto, and the lion and fly back to the Wicked Witch.
Well, look who's here. Little Miss Dorothy. Well, you're going to get a lesson now.
What are you going to do?
Well, your friend the Scarecrow and that Tin Woodman are already in pieces at the bottom of the mountain. As for your lion here, I locked him up in a little cage and used him for hauling stones.
Oh, good grief. How embarrassing.
As for you, Dorothy, and your dog, I'll lock you both into my cellar. There you'll scrub floors every day. Scrub.
The witch locked the poor lion in a small cage, then pushed Dorothy and Toto down into a big, dark cellar.
This is where you will stay. Now get on your knees and start scrubbing.
The witch left. Dorothy took a bucket and brush and began to scrub. The days went slowly. Every night Dorothy's hands and knees were sore, and she would crawl into bed, crying herself to sleep with Toto in her arms, thinking she would never get to Kansas now. Nobody knew why, but the witch always carried an umbrella, and sometimes she would threaten to beat Dorothy with it. But not once did the witch harm Dorothy. Dorothy, you see, was safe because she had been kissed by the good witch of the north, and she wore the silver shoes. Now the wicked witch wanted the silver shoes for herself because of their great magic power. One day, when Dorothy was down scrubbing, the witch reached out with the handle of her umbrella and stole one of Dorothy's silver shoes.
Give me back my shoe!
No, it's mine now.
No, it's not. You stole it.
And someday I'll steal the other one.
Give it back! Give it back,
Or you'll what?
or I'll throw this bucket of scrub water on you.
Put down that bucket.
Why? You afraid of a little water?
Put down that water, Dorothy.
You are afraid of water.
Put it down, I say.
So that's why you carry an umbrella, so you won't get wet.
Don't throw that water on me.
Why not? Let's see what will happen.
No, don't. No, look what you've done.
Indeed, an astonishing thing was happening. The witch was melting like ice.
See what you've done? Didn't you know water would melt me?
Gosh, no, I'm really sorry.
Well, what good is sorry? I'm melting away.
But I am sorry.
Oh, it's too late. Here I go.
And the wicked witch disappeared, and all that was left was a small puddle of water.
Look, Toto. She's gone. Toto, we're free.
Dorothy rushed upstairs and let the grateful lion out of his cage.
Oh, Dorothy, thank goodness. You've let me out of that horrible cage.
Word soon spread to the Winkies, who were a friendly people, that they were no longer the witch's slaves. They cheered and promised to find the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman who lay in pieces on the stone mountain. First, they found the empty Scarecrow and stuffed him with fresh straw.
Dorothy, these Winkies are nice people. I feel better than ever.
Next, the Winkies repaired the Tin Woodman, and soon he too was as good as new.
Look, fellas, I work fine. See?
Now they were ready to go back to the Emerald City, just as the wizard had ordered. Surely now he would grant their wishes. When Dorothy and her friends arrived back at the Emerald City, they rang the bell, and the guardian of the gates appeared.
Yes? Dorothy, you're back. What wonderful news. I must tell everyone in the Emerald City. Hear ye, good news! Hear ye.
Led by a tall, skinny soldier with a flower in his rifle, Dorothy and her friends marched proudly through the Emerald City, while the people gathered to cheer and wave. At the wizard's palace, they entered the great throne room. It was empty, but somewhere high above, the wizard's voice boomed.
I am Oz, the great and terrible.
I can't see you. Where are you?
Everywhere. What do you want?
We've come to claim our promise.
What promise?
Don't you remember? You promised to send me back to Kansas if I destroyed the Wicked Witch.
And you promised me some brains.
And me a heart.
And me courage.
I melted her with a bucket of water.
Dear me, how peculiar. Well, come back tomorrow. I need time to think.
Time? You've already had time.
Look, wizard, we can't wait.
But I really do need time.
Oh, that's not
fair.
Come on,
Wizard.
wizard. Oh, you've had enough.
While they were talking, Toto had wandered off and now was sniffing a curtain that covered one corner.
Shh, Toto?
But still Toto barked and pawed at the curtain.
Toto, what are you doing? Toto!
Toto had the curtain in his teeth. He pulled it aside and...
Look! Look what Toto's found!
There, standing in the corner, was a little old man with a bald head and a wrinkled face.
Who are you?
I am Oz. That is, I guess you'd say I'm Oz. You know, the great and terrible Oz.
You? But what about the head on the throne and the voice on the ceiling?
Ah, tricks. All tricks. I made the head from cardboard. I'm not really a wizard.
Not a wizard?
Look, Bud, I think you'd better explain.
Well, yes, of course. Years ago, I worked for a circus in Nebraska.
Right next to Kansas.
Yes, I was a balloonist. Now, one day a storm blew my balloon out of Nebraska and into the land of Oz. The people seeing me come out of the sky thought I was a wizard. Oh, it was marvelous. So I let them believe it. I even did tricks to keep them believing. But the truth is, I'm not a wizard at all. So I'm afraid I can't keep those promises I made to you.
But what about my brains?
Oh, you don't need brains. Only experience can make you wise. And you're getting that every day. I dare say, you're pretty smart already.
But I still want some brains.
Oh, very well, if you insist. I'll give you your brains in the morning.
How about my heart?
Oh, as long as you're good and kind and loyal, you don't need a heart.
But I want one anyway.
Oh, very well. See me in the morning. Now, what about my courage? Courage? All you need is self-confidence. Everybody's afraid once in a while. Now, true courage is facing danger, even when you're afraid. You've got plenty of true courage. Oh, no. I need more. Lots more. Well, all right. You come in the morning, too.
You know, Oz, you may not be a real wizard, but you sure know a lot about people. You're right. The Scarecrow is smart. It was his plan that saved us from the Kalidas. The Tib woman is the kindest person I've ever known, and it was our brave lion who saved us from the Hammerheads. Maybe we should all just be as smart and kind and brave as we can, and not worry about being better than we're supposed to be.
You know, my dear, I'd say you know a lot about people, too.
But I do have one question.
Yes?
How are you going to get me back to Kansas?
Oh, dear, I'm afraid that will be difficult. But don't worry. I'll think of something by morning. Now run along. I'll see you tomorrow.
The next morning, when Dorothy and her friends went back to the palace, the wizard was ready to grant their wishes. Into the Scarecrow's head, he poured a mixture of bran and pins.
There. Now you've got some brand new brains. They'll make you very sharp. Get the point?
Next, the wizard put a new red velvet heart, stuffed with sawdust, inside the Tin Woodman.
Is this a kind heart, wizard?
It's a kind of a heart.
Last, the wizard gave the lion a small bottle of green syrup.
Here, lion, take this. What is it? Once it's inside you, it's called courage. Now drink up. Good. How do you feel? Braver. Of course you do. You've taken courage. Well, Dorothy, that leaves you. And I have a plan for getting us back to Kansas.
Us?
Oh, yes. I'm ready to go home, too. And here's how. We'll leave in the same balloon that first brought me here. There's a great desert that surrounds the land of Oz. But the wind will blow us across it and back to Kansas.
At last, Dorothy was going home. The wizard pumped up the balloon. It grew bigger and bigger. A crowd gathered. It was time to go. The wizard climbed into the balloon.
Let's go, Dorothy.
Wait, I can't find Toto.
Hurry! I can't hold this balloon much longer.
Here, Toto.
Hurry!
Here, Toto.
Dorothy looked and looked, but she couldn't find Toto.
Never mind, Toto. We have to go now, without Toto.
But Dorothy wouldn't leave Toto behind. Finally, she did find him, but it was too late. The wizard had let go, and the balloon was rising slowly into the air. Dorothy ran after it.
Wait for us.
I can't now.
But how will I get to is?
I don't know. Ask Glinda.
Glinda?
Yes, the good witch of the south. Goodbye, Dorothy, and good luck.
The balloon soared away, leaving Dorothy below, heartbroken.
Oh, I don't think we'll ever get back to Kansas now. Gosh, fellas, what am I going to do?
Well, I reckon we ought to go see Glinda, just like the wizard said.
That's right, Dorothy. She's a good witch. She can help you. Don't cry.
Just be brave, Dorothy, and everything will work out fine.
And we'll go with you to see Glinda. Right, fellas?
Right.
You're such good friends. Well, let's go see Glinda. Maybe she will help us.
The journey to Glinda's castle was peaceful, except for one strange adventure about halfway. They came to a high wall made of smooth white china. It was as slippery as a plate and too high to jump over, so the Tin Woodman made a ladder of sticks, and over they climbed. On the other side, they saw a strange country with a floor as smooth and white and shining as a big china platter. Here and there were little china houses, so small that they only reached Dorothy's waist. There were also little china barns, fences and trees, china cows and horses, and even china people.
Gosh, fellas, look! These people are like China dolls.
We'd better be careful not to break anything.
Dorothy and her friends tiptoed quietly out of the China Valley, and soon they were on the road again. On they walked, and arrived at Glinda's beautiful castle just as the sun was setting. Her castle was pure white, with tall towers studded with red rubies.
Gosh, fellas, Glinda's castle is beautiful.
They were met at the gate by 3 of Glinda's girl soldiers, who were dressed in red uniforms with white lace. The girls took Dorothy and her friends to the throne room. There they saw Glinda, the beautiful witch of the south. Her hair was gold, and her dress was white, and she looked at Dorothy with kind blue eyes.
Hello, my child. What may I do for you?
Oh, Glinda, my name is Dorothy, and I want to go home to my Aunt Em and Uncle Henry in Kansas. Kansas isn't as pretty as Oz, but it's my home, and I want to go back.
Of course you do. It's always good to go home again, to your own room.
With your own toy.
In your own bed.
With your own pillow. Oh, Glinda, please tell me how to get back to Kansas.
It's very simple, Dorothy. Your silver shoes can take you there.
They can?
Certainly. Remember, they are magic silver shoes. Just click your heels together 3 times, and presto, you'll be there.
Golly, now I can really go home. But what will happen to my wonderful friends here?
I've already decided. Scarecrow, you are wise. Rule the land of Oz in the wizard's place. Tin Woodman, you are kind. Rule the land of the Winkies in place of the Wicked Witch of the West. Oh, Lion, you are brave. Rule the land of the Munchkins, where Dorothy's house fell. I know all of you will rule well. And now, Dorothy, are you ready to go back to Kansas?
Oh, yes. Gosh, fellas, I guess I have to go now. Oh, Scarecrow, Tin Woodman, Lion, you dear and funny friends. I wonder if I will ever see you again.
There were tears in everyone's eyes as Dorothy said goodbye. Then she picked up Toto and clicked the heels of her silver shoes.
Take me home to Kansas. Home to Aunt Em. Home to Uncle Henry.
Instantly, Dorothy was swept into the air, so fast she saw nothing. And then, suddenly, she and Toto were on the ground. The silver shoes were gone, and all around was tall grass.
Grass. Prairie grass. Toto, we're in Kansas. We're home!
Yes, there was home. And there was Aunt Em watering the cabbages. Dorothy ran up the path.
Aunt Em, Aunt Em!
Dorothy? Dear Dorothy!
Oh, Aunt Em, I'm so glad to be home. Aunt Em, I've got the strangest story to tell you. I've been in the land of Oz.
That night, while Aunt Em and Uncle Henry listened quietly, Dorothy told of her wonderful adventure. Then she was very sleepy. Uncle Henry carried her to bed, and Aunt Em tucked her between cool, clean sheets. All that night, Aunt Em and Uncle Henry stayed by Dorothy's bed, while the soft wind whistled in the prairie grass, and they would still be there when Dorothy awoke in the morning.